Hello, everyone. It's another session of Monday Fun Day. And today I have a very, very exciting guest with me. He's an avid reader. He's been through the entrepreneurial journey, through all the highs and lows. I've had the great pleasure of working with him. And I have to add this, he's one of the most empathetic entrepreneurs I know. Guys, please meet Aaron Yuan. Aaron, thank you so much for being with me here today.
Wow, and thank you for that introduction. Of course, I would say I've been to the highs and mediums of the entrepreneurial journey, but I, I really appreciate those words. That's a great question. I personally think about this question quite a lot, which is also sort of related to the answer to this question. But in my opinion, I think the most important thing, and this is something that a lot of people say, is just confidence. Confidence in something, like confidence in the idea that you're pursuing, confidence in your own abilities. Not necessarily overconfidence in terms of just true belief and that everything's going to work out 100% as you expect. But at the end of the day, some sort of internal drive, internal motivation, right? That makes you believe that not only is it possible, that you can actually accomplish this. Because when it comes to startups or early business, there are, as you said, there are highs and lows, but the lows the lows are a lot more impactful in a sense, right? People feel them, and you really have to be in some ways prepared for that. Now, I think that's one trait, but I would say I might list three here. So the second one is what I alluded to earlier, which is just a certain level of self-reflection, the ability to correct your mistakes, and that is something that's really important as it compares to the first one, right? Or in relation to the first one, because I know a lot of people who are quite self-confident, and in fact, everybody who's kind of left in the startup space, there is a degree to which they have to be able to find that inner source of confidence, even if they're someone who experiences doubt frequently. But ultimately, the only people who make it in the medium haul are those who are able to self-reflect, at least somewhat. Because what happens is, if you really just have, even if you have that limitless source of confidence or belief, that may in fact be completely misplaced. Yeah. So this kind of this makes me think of this the Bob Eisner's book. When he opens the book, he tells about this like crazy story about maybe you've discussed that story before, so I won't spoil it in here. But he tells this crazy story, and in the story, before he started, he talked about how he's not really somebody who's a very emotional person, and he's usually able to deal with whatever fluctuations that happen. But this particular case affected him greatly, and I'll just say that. And I think that for a lot of people who are in business, of course, but also in startups, maybe especially in startups, they think about themselves as that type of person who really is not affected emotionally as much by the vicissitudes of life. But from time to time, things happen. Maybe not things of the same kind of magnitude as happens to Bob Eisner, as happens to us, but things do happen, and they are quite difficult to deal with at times. Everybody has a capacity past which they do feel kind of an emotional burden. But I'm really lucky to have two things. So firstly, I have the co-founders, or people who I've known for a really long time, and so whenever something crazy happens, I talk to them, and it's a very cathartic experience, I think. We just sort of let it out, and we just we really just talk about the problem in a how do you say, yeah, it's a very cathartic experience, I'll just say that. But but at the same time, I think that there is a difference between people who really view themselves as somebody who should be doing startups, who should be investing their time into things like this, because they do end up thinking about pressure in a somewhat different way. And it's a little bit, and what happens is you eventually develop these strategies to, how do you say, like sublimate them and to make them, and to turn these pressures into something that helps or pushes you forward. And I guess I'm turning it back to what we said earlier about different kinds of mentalities, different kinds of minds. When in the company, of course, you really can't expect everybody to be the same type as you. So in some ways, what happens is whenever something bad happens in the company, for founders, I think a lot of them, the first thought that comes to mind is actually, how am I going to explain this to the team? How is this person, that person, how are they gonna take this?
Mhm.
And in some ways, if you're really concerned about that, if you're so preoccupied with trying to help everybody else with the issue, you realize that it's actually not affecting you so much, just because you're thinking about something else. And in some ways, I would say that yes, of course, you bear a lot of the immediate brunt of this, and it's because you ultimately bear the final responsibility for what happens. But at the same time, there's a level to which you are safe from yourself. Right? You're safe from yourself by the fact that you have to constantly be thinking about others. So there isn't that moment where you're face to face with only yourself and only your problems.
All right, brilliant, guys. There's so many things. I think this is jam-packed with information. There's a golden nugget of advice, I think, in every single thing we discussed. I hope this was helpful for you guys. And Aaron, thank you so much for joining me this week. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week.